Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to No More News. I am your host, Adam Green. Thank you all so much for joining me. Today, Tuesday, September 9th, 2025. So much is happening. This might be a 5-hour show. Going to be talking about Kushner is now going to be in charge of rebuilding Gaza. There's new Trump Epstein birthday letter news. We've got new video from the poor girl that was stabbed in North Carolina. We have huge Jesus myth cover-up news as well. So much is going on. It's only made possible to do these streams thanks to you guys and your support. Really is another day in Zion today, all right? We got the Power Chat link down in the description below and pinned over in the live chat on Odyssey and Rumble. Can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about everything that's happening. First story, Trump reportedly tasks Jared Kushner with composing day after plan for Gaza. So he's putting Kushner in charge. We got the AI video with him and the golden statue, and Kushner's actually in charge. I told everybody that Jared was going to be involved with more Middle Eastern stuff when Trump gets back in power, and here we are. President says Kushner's going to be in charge. Ron Dermer, the Strategic Affairs Minister of Israel, with the U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Kushner in Miami discussing ceasefire proposal and the U.S. day after plan. And that ceasefire, Trump was talking about a ceasefire with Hamas and Qatar. I forgot to mention that also. We're going to be covering the Israeli bombing of Qatar of some buildings in Qatar, killing some Hamas people, high-level Hamas people maybe. I'm not sure if that's confirmed yet. So Kushner in charge of the ceasefire and the day after plan. And they were only there. What I'm seeing is that the Hamas officials were in some place to sign or meet about a ceasefire deal. So Trump lured them somewhere and then Israel bombed them. And this is the same Qatar that gave Trump a $400 million jet. Oh, we'll get there in a second. So Kushner is emerging as a central figure in crafting U.S. plans for the future of Gaza. Imagine that. Kushner, and who else would it be? Kushner's been working with Witkoff, by the way. We've been documenting that. Even Lutnick said Kushner was involved. We learned that Kushner was involved with the staffing of the administration and was one of the founders, I believe, of that America First PAC that Kushner was involved with. Israel will have influence, but it won't be the Bibi plan or the Dermer plan, a U.S. official tells Channel. Yeah, because I'm sure Bibi and Kushner haven't been longtime close friends. Kushner did the Abraham Accords, more building, taking over Gaza now, more war. They're all changing everything, the Department of War. It's so clear what's going down. Nepal is having a revolution right now, Thunderstorm says. Oh, let's get this thing turned on. Let's get the Power Chat turned on. PowerChat.live/no more news for your Power Chats to be read on the show. Here we go. Amalek Defamation League.
Amalek Defamation League sent $5 on Rumble. $5 5-hour show foreskin from challenge.
Foreskin challenge. Oh my gosh.
Thunderstorm 9 sent $5 on Rumble. Naples is having a revolution right now. I'm taking notes.
I just watched the newest clip of this girl on the bus or the train getting stabbed, and it is heartbreaking, horrific. Oh my gosh. We're going to play that in a second, but I just saw it and it is absurd. Kushner's mob family. Yeah, Trump pardoned Kushner's dad, who was involved with blackmailing family with prostitutes. And then now he's the ambassador to France, cracking down on anti-Semitism in France. What else does it say about Kushner here? Okay, that's about it. So, not surprised there. Remember when Kushner was on video on CNN talking about Gaza's waterfront property, how valuable their waterfront property was?
Guys are spending a fortune on military. I think neither side really wants to have.
This is probably, I said this when Trump did this, I said this was probably Kushner and Netanyahu's and whoever else Chabad's plan for taking over Gaza all.
Guys are spending a fortune on military. Guys are spending a fortune on military. I think neither side really wants to have, a terrorist organization enclaved right between them. I mean, Gaza's waterfront property, it could be very valuable to, if people would focus on kind of building up, livelihoods. You think about all the money that's gone into this tunnel network and into all the munitions. If that would have gone into education or innovation, what could have been done? And so I think that it's a little bit of an unfortunate situation there, but I think from Israel's perspective, I would do my best to move the people out and then clean it up. Guys are spending a fortune on military.
Move the people out, clean it up, and then sell it off to all of his buddies in this big real estate deal, so we can get this. Because look, Goy, look how great Gaza could be. God's chosen people. Remember, Trump's been calling it a real estate deal. Here's when he first announced he's taking it, and then we're going to show a couple of the clips of the progression and the history of them talking about this takeover plan.
Of a beautiful area with homes and safety, and they can live out their lives in peace and harmony instead of having to go back and do it again. The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it too. We'll own it and be responsible. Strip, dismantling all of the
take it over and own it.
Dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site. Level the site and get rid of the destroyed.
Turn it to a parking lot. Turn it to glass, level it, demolition site, hardly a building standing. How convenient.
Buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area.
The people of the area, not Palestinians. People of the area. You mean all of they're going to turn it into a Dubai with all their Zionists and Arab Muslim collaborators.
Do a real job, do something different. Just can't go back. If you go back, it's going to end up the same way it has for 100 years. I'm hopeful that this ceasefire of a beautiful area with homes.
So much for that ceasefire. That now he's talking about it's a important real estate deal.
For the Times of Israel, the IDF is fighting to get in the Gaza Strip. I myself might be called up in a month. Do you think that's the way to pressure Hamas to get to a deal? And do you think blocking humanitarian aid is also an effective pressure tactic?
Well, you know how I feel about the Gaza Strip. I think it's an incredible piece of important real estate, and I think it's something that we would be involved in, but having a peace force like the United States there controlling and owning the Gaza Strip would be a good thing. Because
dude, remember all the people that were saying, "Oh, look at Netanyahu's body language. I think he's shook by this. Trump's playing 4D chess on Netanyahu. He's taking it. Oh, art of the deal move. He's taking it. He's having Kushner dole it out, take it over, and then they're going to give it to Israel. Give me a fucking break."
Right now, all it is for years and years, all I hear about is killing and Hamas and problems. And if you take the people, the Palestinians, and move them around to different countries, and you have plenty of countries that will do that, and you really have a freedom zone. You call it the freedom zone.
Freedom zone. I'm calling it a freedom zone for the people in the area. Huge real estate deal. We made a promo video of AI. It's beautiful.
A free zone, a zone where people aren't going to be killed every day. That's a hell of a place. It's you know what I call it? A great location that nobody wants to live in, because they really don't. And
just the Palestinians that want to live there.
When they have good living, real living, where
he's like, they can't live there, they're being bombed. Yeah, by Israel.
Hamas and all of the problems they have, the level of death on the Gaza Strip is just incredible. And
yeah, and who killed him? You're sitting next to the guy that's killing him. It's incredible. A lot of death there, baby. Really incredible.
I've said it. I don't understand why Israel ever gave it up. Israel owned it. It wasn't this man, so I can say it.
Israel owned it. God gave it to them. It was always theirs. They should have never gave it up.
When they given it up, I know him very well. There's no way. They took oceanfront property and they gave it to people for peace. How did that work out? Not good.
Not good. Let me tell you, not good. Here he is again.
And conclude the 3 phases of
This is January 2020.
I'm not confident. That's not our.
Confident are you, Mr. President, that you can keep the ceasefire in Gaza and conclude the 3 phases of this deal?
I'm not confident. That's not our war. It's their war. But
Apologize.
I'm not confident. But I think they're very weakened on the other side.
Do you support the 2 states?
Gaza, boy, I looked at a picture of Gaza. Gaza is like a massive demolition site. That place is. It's really.
Demolition, I guess we're going to have to rebuild it and give it to Israel. It's a demolition site. Just been blown to pieces by Israel.
It's got to be rebuilt in a different way.
Do you plan to help rebuilding Gaza?
My mind. You know, Gaza is interesting. It's a phenomenal location. On the sea, best weather. You know, everything's good. It's like some beautiful things could be done with it, but it's very interesting. But some fantastic things could be done with Gaza.
How do you see the future in governance for Gaza?
Well, it depends. I can't imagine you could have, well, you certainly can't have the people that were there. Most of them are dead.
Most of them are dead, and you can't have the people that were there. They're not coming back. This is where, again, now this is in February, a month later, earlier this year, he says he's committed to buying and owning. They're not buying, they're taking it. He even said that in another time. They're not buying it, we're just taking
it.
Look at this.
I'm committed to buying and owning Gaza. As far as us rebuilding it, we may give it to other states in the Middle East to build sections of it.
Give it to other places in the Middle East to build sections of it. You mean like Israel? They're going to build sections of it?
Other people may do it through our auspices, but we're committed to owning it, taking it, and making sure that Hamas doesn't move back. There's nothing to move back into. The place is a demolition site. It'll be, the remainder will be demolished.
It's like, we destroyed it, so we have to take it. We destroyed it, they can't go back there, we got to take it. Like, that's, okay.
Everything's demolished. I mean, you can't live in those buildings right now. They're very unsafe. But we'll make it into a very good site for future. I'm committed to buying.
Development, okay. And this is the AI video he puts out. Which is just unreal. What's next?
Donald is coming to set you free, bringing the light for all to see. No more tunnels, no more fear. Trump Gaza is finally here. Trump Gaza shining bright, golden future, a brand new life.
Big high rises.
Peace the deal is done. Trump Gaza #1.
Trump
Trump Gaza shining bright, golden future, a brand new
golden
life.
statues.
Peace and dance, the deal is done.
On the beach with BB drinking drinks.
Trump Gaza #1.
And now we realize Kushner has been there all along, which we knew he was, and now he's formally, openly in charge. Is this not Clown World? It is a graveyard, it's true. Now, we've got Israel bombing Qatar today. Doha, Qatar's capital, Israeli strike, which they have confirmed and take credit for, targeting Hamas leaders who were there to meet to sign a ceasefire. Roseanne says, fuck around and find out. Bad day for Hamas, the woke right, and Nazis. Good day for the West and human rights. Yeah, we know about you and your rabbis and your Moshiach and how you view Edom in the West, Roseanne. 1.4 thousand likes. Let's see this first one. One of the angles. Israel's just bombing like every single neighbor whenever they want. Lebanon, Hezbollah, Yemen, Houthis in Yemen. I'm seeing lists, all these other countries too. Iran, obviously. Okay, we got another. Oh, what did Speaker of the House say about Israel's strike on Qatar?
Anybody who looks at this reason. Second question for anyone. As we were all driving in, walking in here, Israel struck Qatar to take out Hamas leadership. I'm curious if any of you think that whoever survives there should be evicted from Qatar.
I don't know anything about that development. That's news to me. I've been a little busy the last couple hours, but we'll have to see how that plays out. I mean, look. I was in Israel myself a few weeks ago in early August.
Oh my God!
It's a very dangerous time there, and they have.
I just saw the video where she actually dies. Oh my God, this is horrendous. I've never felt such rage. She looks like she could be my sister or my daughter.
Have enemies encamped around them, and they're trying to bring that to a peace as well. But Hamas, by anybody who looks
I've never
at this
felt such
reasonably,
rage.
in my view, this is my personal view, that Hamas has to be eradicated. You've got to remove that threat on the immediate border, frankly, within the bounds of Israel.
Second question for anyone. As we were all driving in, walking in here, Israel struck Qatar.
All right, what is Mike Huckabee? We're gonna get to the train. Is it a train or a bus? Okay, Huckabee says the same thing. They're talking about now.
Amalek Defamation League sent $10 on Rumble. Father Joseph Swaden, an Orthodox priest, live streams on Sunday nights with free call-ins. His YouTube channel is called NFTU. It would be interesting to see you call in and drop green pills.
I'll look up the name and follow him on YouTube and maybe do that. That's a good idea. So a bunch of countries are saying they're going to acknowledge recognize the state of Palestine at an upcoming UN thing, and then now Huckabee and the Zionists are threatening, as they have been, to annex the West Bank.
To getting something done.
More parts of the West Bank. Here's Huckabee saying the same thing. We're going to play somebody else playing in a second.
What do you think of the UK's plans to recognize Palestine formally alongside other countries?
Laura, it's been disastrous. I wish they'd have thought about the implications. Hamas walked away from the negotiations to let the hostages go. It now has really given the Israelis a new sense of saying, well, if we're going to be forced into something that goes against Oslo, and I don't know why people don't understand that unilaterally declaring a Palestinian state is a violation of the Oslo Accords that everybody thought would lead to a Palestinian state. Now Israel is talking about declaring sovereignty over more parts of Judea and Samaria. So whatever the thought was, no matter how noble it may have seemed, it has had disastrous consequences that have proven to do exactly opposite of what many of the European countries have thought would be a great idea.
But you know, Mr. Ambassador, when you talk in those terms, that is seen as deeply provocative to many people who care about the plight of the Palestinian people, who think that the only way out of this is for those people, innocent people, to be given protection, a land of their own, rather than losing their lives and for years more to be victims of the terrible ongoing conflict in the Middle East.
Where would the boundaries be? Who would lead it? How would it be structured? People talk about this aspirational idea of a Palestinian state, but nobody can give you the details. And they've been on the table now for 30 years, and every time there's been a proximity to getting something done with a two-state, it's the Palestinians that walk away.
Oh, my God. Dude, I just keep looking at this video, and I'm just enraged and sickened. I don't know if I've ever seen something so despicable and horrific. We're going to skip to that in a second.
Because you don't want it annexed, so be it. So I won't shop in your...
This is the new craziest Zionist
countries in the West telling us how we
Thunderstorm
can't...
9 sent $10 on Rumble. After the stabbing, the rest of the left-right cultural enrichment showed their support of the stabbing. The political establishment must be proud of their work.
They let the guy out. He was on the streets, a violent criminal, arrested 14 times. And this guy's out on the street to do something and talk. Oh, and the video, too, says he's on audio saying, I got that white girl. It's in the title. What is it? Yeah, I got that white girl, he says.
Annex Judea and Samaria. Countries like the UAE saying it's a red line that can't be crossed. Excuse me? Do you know what a red line is for me? Men being murdered in my community. Women being threatened in my community. Children being shot at in my community. That is my threat. it means I won't be able to go visit Dubai because you don't want it annexed. So be it. So I won't shop in your malls and I won't fuel your economy. I don't care. I don't care. I want my streets to be safe.
Amalek
The
Defamation
government of
League sent
Israel,
$5
the people
on
of
Rumble.
Israel need to be able to defend
WTF?
themselves, stand
Did
up
Weird
for
Al get a
themselves
change?
without idiots in the West telling us how, you know.
She does look like Weird Al Yankovic. That's funny.
It doesn't sit with us. It doesn't sit comfortably with me. I don't care anymore.
Same exact
I've had enough.
physiognomy.
You feel uncomfortable because it feels like ethnic cleansing. I don't.
Look. Shit. There we go. Exactly like it. Indistinguishable.
Care. These people are terrorists. They are evil. They value one thing, and that is death. And when you are talking about people like that, they lose the definition of people.
This is what I was covering yesterday. Trump changed the Secretary of Department of Defense to the Department of War, and we got, this is what his account looks like now. War, 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 war. War, war, war. Like literally 10 wars on his page. This guy that wants to rebuild the third temple and fulfill Bible prophecy and go on a Jerusalem crusade, like his Crusader tattoo, his Yeshua Jesus tattoo, obsessed with an apocalyptic war, a scripted Gog and Magog war. It's all intensifying with Gaza, with Iran. Remember Trump teased the idea. He said, he's like, oh, maybe with Zelensky, he's like, oh, in 3.5 years, I guess he won't be up for re-election if there's a war. How much foreshadowing are we going to get? Speaking of foreknowledge, Tucker is on with Pierce Morgan talking about 9/11. I'm just going to save that for in a couple days on 9/11. I just just calling an audible. I think we're going to cover that 10-minute on 9/11 in a couple days. Or maybe tomorrow. Mossad is trending, 27,000 posts. What's that about? Okay, I'm going to skip the Epstein thing and go to this because I'm losing my mind. New footage just emerged. So this is what I saw this morning. Ever since this happened, it's been just like, number one, it's all over my timeline, but it's just like reoccurring in my brain over and over again, just like the defense.
Kitten13 sent $5 on Rumble. Makes me so angry that she fled for her life only to be killed by a subhuman animal here. MAGA only now cares about dead Ukrainian girls to attack Democrat-run cities. FCK Russia, FCK GOP, FCK Israel.
Who sent that one? Thank you, Caden. That's a good point. Yeah, too. And the people that are like found some picture where she's in a room with a Black Lives Matter thing, like it's annoying me that people are even doing that. All right, here we go. So this is the footage we saw this morning, which is heavily edited, and I just saw the new angle after we went live. So they totally edited it out. Look, nobody even looks. They all saw it happen, and this girl, they said, is a nurse. She got up and walks away. Nobody even sees if she's okay. She's surrounded by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 black people. One of them stabs her, and nobody even helps her, even lifts a finger. And this is what we just saw too. Here's the full video now. Now, viewer discretion advised. That's what I thought we were covering until this video just came out. And it is terrible. It is horrendous. So if you're sensitive to stuff like this, don't look. Business on her phone, earbuds in, stands up to 2 hard stabs in the chest and in the face and in the throat, apparently. Nobody helps her. They all witnessed it. Nobody cares. Nobody attacks the guy. She's gone. Yeah. That could be your daughter. Could be your sister. The guy's been arrested 14 times and was allowed out on the streets. Absolutely disgusting. Disgusting. Trump's talking about it. I think there's more. No, here, this is Jesse Jones talking about it. Is this a different angle? Same angle. No one even acknowledged it. Not that it would have made a difference, I don't think. It's like somebody was gonna put a shirt on her chest when she have not died. She was gone and in shock. Fled from Ukraine, the Ukraine war. Was this 2 a.m.? She got off the shift working at a pizza shop.
She's in total shock, but now the blood's not getting to the brain. She can't believe it. Imagine the
so
pain.
much rage. Don't Fed post. Don't Fed post. The way that the media hasn't been covering this too. This happened a little while ago, and it's like a media cover up. They pushed George Floyd like crazy, resisting arrest, on drugs, foaming at the mouth. And that's a bigger deal. And then streets and riots and burning down. Cities are burning. All the politicians, everything's happening.
And then, boom. Falls down, pool of blood spills.
Just atrocious. Listen to what he said. He says, I got that white girl. A racial motivated attack.
The names sent $5 on Rumble. Heinous crimes like this are happening to white people more and more. But according to people like Albishai, noticing and spreading awareness makes you trailer park trash and trying to out-Jew Jews.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care. People have had enough of this shit. Oh, I'm seeing posts and TikToks and stuff. Black people saying this is justified because 400 years of slavery and persecutions. I got that white girl. Got that white girl. Henrik called cowards like Marcus out on red ice last week. Who's Marcus? Here's Trump's post on it.
Country.
See what he has to say.
And now she's dead. For far too long.
Thunderstorm 9 sent $10 on Rumble. The left and right love it. It's their multiculturalism.
That wasn't multicultural. That was like straight up when you're the only white girl on the bus and there's surrounded by 6 blacks. I wouldn't call that multiculturalism.
Been forced to put up with Democrat-run cities that set loose savage, bloodthirsty criminals to prey on innocent people. Really very, very innocent people. In every place, they control radical left judges, politicians, and activists, and they've adopted a policy of catch and release for thugs and killers. In Charlotte, North Carolina, we saw the results of these policies when a 23-year-old woman who came here from Ukraine met her bloody end on a public train. And here's a picture of it. This is the picture of it. And this is a picture of the woman, a beautiful young girl that never had problems in life.
You know, that mugshot reminds me of the guy Daryl Brooks that drove his SUV through the Christmas parade, Waukesha, right? Reminds me of that, another racially motivated.
With a magnificent future in this country. And now she's dead. She was slaughtered by a deranged monster.
Impulse control? Deranged monster? It's like a feral animal. Fuck.
Who was roaming free after 14 prior arrests. We cannot allow a depraved criminal element of violent repeat offenders to continue spreading destruction and death throughout our country. We have to respond with force and strength. We have to be vicious just like they are. It's the only thing they understand. 24 of the top 25 most dangerous cities in America are run by Democrat mayors. 50 people were murdered in Chicago in recent weeks with
never
hundreds
relax.
being shot. And it's time to stop this madness.
Dangerous
the people
areas.
Of our country need to insist on
Which
protection,
means you can't go to like
safety,
any big city
law,
in America.
And order. We have proven that it can be done because we did it right here in D.C.
Like we need a survival instinct.
In District of Columbia, the capital of America, was a bloodthirsty, horrible, dangerous place, one of the worst. And now it's a crime-free city, and we're going to keep it that way. It can be done. It can happen fast. All we want is, please, Mr. President, we need help. Chicago needs help. Other cities needs help. We'll do what has to be done because we're going to make America safe again, and that includes our big cities. We're going to make those cities safe. Thank you.
Okay, pretty boring. Trump released the video. Okay, that's the one we just watched. This is the other one. Hold on. No, here. We're going to see what White House spokesman says.
Because it does not fit a preferred. And perhaps most shamefully of all, the majority of the media, many outlets in this room, decided that her murder was not worth reporting on originally because it does not fit a preferred narrative. Many of the journalists in this room spilled plenty of ink trying to smear Daniel Penny for defending a subway car from a deranged lunatic in New York.
Such a good point. Daniel Penny, who did get off and is considered a hero now. Yeah, we needed a Daniel Penny on the bus, and maybe he could have stood up and tackled that guy before he stabs the innocent girl minding her own business. Chimps out in a murderous rage for no reason on a random person.
City, but none of those same reporters lift a finger to write stories about an actual murderer. Here's the truth that every and perhaps
and they covered up the video for how long? Got that white girl. Here, let's see Stephen Miller on Fox News.
Murderers back into our streets. The Democrat Party, Sean, is terrorizing the American people. Just think about what is happening in our major cities, the bloodbaths every single weekend. One victim after another, one shooting after another, one murder after another. When you have Democrat politicians like Pritzker and Newsom that are freeing illegal alien pedophiles, illegal alien child abductors, illegal alien murderers back into our streets to kidnap people, to beat them senseless, to stab them and shoot them to death. This is terrorism being waged against the American people. And then you look at that video that chills our very souls out of Charlotte, that beautiful young woman stabbed to death, murdered savagely on a subway, just trying to get home from work, fleeing war, only to run into a Democrat war zone here in our country. That monster, 14 prior arrests in and out. The Democrat policies of catch and release for barbarians and savages is truly an act of terror, Sean, against the American people. It cannot be explained unless you deeply...
I saw a quote, mercy against evil is cruelty to innocence. Thought that was really good, and it was a good point.
Fundamentally hate America.
No one helped her. That's what Marjorie Taylor Greene. It makes it even worse. They all watched him, and nobody even said, "Are you okay?" The guy walked away. This guy doesn't even budge. Oh wait, there he goes. He budged. This woman's like, "Oh, I didn't see nothing. Didn't see nothing. I don't know nothing." You kidding me? Won't even look. That's to make matters worse. Didn't even look.
It's hate crimes against. I've made clear that Attorney General Pam Bondi is working really hard, that we must get answers about the causes of these.
It's like the stabbing couldn't be more horrendous. And then to make matters worse, they all watched it happen and none of them moved a muscle to try to help her. It's like a double whammy. Double fatigue.
Repeated attacks, and we're working very, very hard on that. The Trump administration will have no tolerance for terrorism or political violence, and that includes hate crimes against Christians, Jews, or anybody else. We're not going to allow it. And there was also a hard...
The names sent $5 on Rumble. Moo Democrats. The Republicans have been complicit in the growing anti-white sentiment for years now. Miller was blaming white hippies for the crime in D.C. We are on our own.
Well, some of the Antifa stuff is white hippies, white communists.
Amalek Defamation League sent $5 on Rumble. How have we turned into docile bystanders? If I witnessed something like this going on, I couldn't even imagine not immediately springing to action and helping. Cowards.
I know. Dude, you have to keep your head on a swivel. If you're... I mean, you should be like this at all times. It's sad that that's the type of world we have to live in.
Horrible killing recently in Charlotte, where I talked about, and so many others, and we're going to get to the end of it. And, you know, when you have horrible killings, you have to take horrible
PP31
actions.
sent $5 on
actions that we
Rumble. Hey, sent a power chat yesterday, but it arrived a minute late, so we'll repeat it. Why don't you cover news more often? I'd rather listen to you than always wrong Fuentes, and yet there is no alternative.
I cover news all the time. Every show is current news and then exposing Jesus, pretty much. Exposing the Christian question is what we're doing today. I always start with the news, the latest Trump developments. Do you watch the show? It's called No More News. We know more news. But
take nothing.
You're not seeing it.
Cashless bail started a wave in our country where a killer kills somebody and is out on the street by the afternoon.
Sorry Fear sent $20. Another good quote is by Thomas Carlyle. Justice is not about rehabilitation. Justice is the revenge of society against the evils done to it.
In many cases, going out and killing again. Cashless bail, and I've made clear that Attorney General Pam Bondi is working really hard that we must get.
Okay, what is this? Oh, I wanted to read what she said. The look of horror on her face after it just happened. Such innocence. Such innocence and fear. Just last week, we had the video of the girl in Scotland, and she's like screaming with the knives in her hand, defending herself from some foreigner harassing her and filming her. Veronica, celestial being Veronica says, so let me get...
Brilzer sent $5 on Rumble. We know. More news, bro.
I know. Don't I cover news all the time? Especially religious or Zionist or Jewish news.
Zoomerafodin sent $10. Love your streams, Chief. You have an important voice. Can't wait for the book.
Thank you,
Hail Goy Siach.
Goy Siach. The book is coming along awesome, and I can't wait for you guys to read it. It's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. Veronica says, in 2020, a black man dies under a cop's knee. Racial motives unconfirmed. Media explodes. Riots nationwide. Cities burn. A few days ago, a young white girl is killed. The killer mumbles, I got the white girl. We get MSM silence. No headlines, no outrage. Just Twitter anons discussing it. What kind of sinister double standard is this? What's happening? I mean, Austin Metcalf, too, just happened recently. The guy that got stabbed at the track meet said, hey, this is our team's area underneath this canopy. You can't sit here. What'd you say? Stabbed. They were covering that up, too. And the dad's like, well, I forgive him. I'm a Christian, and I forgive him. The cover-up. Matt Walsh says he wants a witch hunt. Every judge and DA who let this monster walk free arrested. Dragged in front of cameras in chains. I want their lives destroyed. It is, Elon says fire, it is blood on their hands.
Thunderstorm 9 sent $5 on Rumble. Will the other cultural enrichment on the bus be prosecuted? I doubt it. Wait till they pick the multicultural jury for his trial in the lightest sentence possible.
No, he's going. If they have the death penalty, he's getting death penalty. It's on video, him doing that. Meanwhile, reality versus Netflix. Always having the white guy.
I can stand it. Yeah.
The white guy harassing all the minorities.
Right
we know that's how it goes down.
I've got you too.
Me too.
Me too.
Always those white guys harassing all those poor colored people, right? Remember reality killer who stabbed schoolgirl? Remember this guy? What was it, in England? Stabbed a bunch of young girls. White hot anger in Roe over teddy bear jailed for 23 years. 18-year-old Hassan Sitamo murdered aspiring human rights lawyer 15 as she stood up for a friend. And then they do a video about it on Netflix, and they have the character as white. Let's see CNN's take on it.
Elon Musk, Charlie Kirk, other Trump-aligned figures succeeded in making this senseless death a symbol of big city crime. We heard President Trump asked about it yesterday when he was heading home from New York City. He didn't seem to know much about it. He said he would get briefed, and then today Trump did know all about it. That's exactly what has happened here. This story has trickled up from local news to social media and now to the president's attention, and it's being used, as you said, Brianna, as a political symbol, with MAGA media calling for more forceful punishments and more incarceration. I have to say, some of the replies to Musk, some of the comments around this story are baldly racist, stoking fear of African Americans because this man attacked a white woman. The open racism on sites like X today.
Oh, this man, only this one. Come on. How many videos do we have to see day in and day out? He said, I got that white girl. Oh, they're making it racial. I got that white girl, he says. Oh, but no, it's the white people defending themselves and noticing a threat.
But there are also legitimate questions about this so-called career criminal, someone who had been a repeat offender. And those questions, I hope they're not lost amid all of the cesspool kind of comments on social media.
This is a political thing because what happened is the direct consequence of the political choices.
We covered that one already. Okay, what's going on here? Oh, I see. I see what happened. All right, let's get into the Epstein thing now. We're making great time. All right. Epstein scandal. White House press secretary. Oh, shoot, that's not the one I wanted here. Talks about the hoax. They're calling it fake. Wall Street Journal published a hatchet job article with a fake birthday letter that is supposedly from 2003. Just like the Steele dossier that kickstarted the Russia hoax all over again. That's how you know it's real. Wall Street Journal refused to show us the letter and conceded they don't even have it in their possession. Cabbage Bandit
sent $25 on Rumble. You are my main news source now, Adam. Thanks for being there.
No, I don't cover news.
They're nice.
Thank you, Cabbage Bandits. I'm my main source as well. Wall Street Journal. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I think it's real. Let's go to the tapes. The most disturbing drawing. People guess this is what the one on the left looked like when we first heard about it. But then now this is what the one that they've been released. A photo of the letter, which has been turned over to Congress by the Epstein estate. There must be more to life than having everything. Yes, there is, but I won't tell you what it is. Nor will I, since I know what it is, Donald. We have certainly things in common, Jeffrey. Jeffrey, yes, we do, come to think of it, Donald. Enigmas never age. Have you noticed that, Jeffrey? As a matter of fact, it was clear to me the last time I saw you. A pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret. Looks a lot like his signature to me, despite some of his MAGA shills trying to say that it doesn't look like his autograph. It looks exactly like the big signature he always does on the executive orders. This came out as well, too. Epstein and longtime Mar-a-Lago member joking about selling a fully depreciated, quote-unquote, fully depreciated woman to Donald Trump for $22,000. Jeffrey Epstein, $22,000 to Donald Trump on the golf course with their buddies. What does it say here? Jeffrey showing early talents with money and women sells fully depreciated, redacted, to Donald Trump for $22,000. Showed early people skills too. Even though I handled the deal, I didn't get any of the money on the girl or the girl. That does not look good. That was not look good. Here's Epstein and a friend. Ryan Dawson posted, Castaways, I was porking some girl in bed and Jeff brings in the maid to what does that say? Maid to make the bed. She left screaming and never came back. Oh, the maid. We're both in bed porking some girls. I said, what do you think? While he's shoving penicillin down my throat. Okay, that's weird. All right, we already covered that. Let's get to the Jesus mythicism cover-up. This is such a big deal. I've been screaming about this for years. The academic, biblical, controlled consensus that Jesus definitely existed, and you're a fringe conspiracy theorist if you say he's a myth. So, Richard Carrier, who's the world's leading mythicist, Jesus mythicist, just came out, his book, on the historicity of Jesus and proving history, not the impossible faith. Jesus in outer space. He just came out with a new book called Obsolete Paradigm, or it's about to come out, of the historical Jesus. He submitted it to a biblical journal for peer review, and they rejected his peer review based on a bunch of bullshit. They didn't even try to say he was wrong about anything. They just basically called him anti-Semitic. They said it's anti-Jewish at worst, and that he doesn't know what he's talking about. That's not an argument. It's a literal cover-up by apologists. And they talk about it in this video. That's right. That's why I had my phone in my hand. I got all the timestamps. He was on there with Richard C. Miller and Aaron Adair, also a couple PhD scholars that are on board with mythicism. Let's get my screenshots here to the timestamps. Here we go. Shoot. Oh, I see. First one. Oh, wow. I got a bunch of timestamps. There's a bunch of... Need More Amalek clipped it up too. All right, here we go. We're going to start on 30:45. 30. We'll start at 30.
I don't think so. I mean, I don't think there's like an error of fact. Yeah. It seemed more like they just disagreed.
That's right. Yeah.
And therefore, I don't recommend this book because of rhetoric or because...
I think biblical studies like that on top of that, and that is to be an unquestioned kind of essential starting place for
the high priest of biblical studies, the guild, the academy are gatekeeping this question because they're prominently a bunch of believers, and they consider it blasphemy to say Jesus is a complete myth. And it's like the last bastion of the Dark Ages. The biblical studies consensus is completely compromised by believers.
And what Richard's presented is an external challenge to that paradigm, that fundamental paradigm. And I think there needs to be space for that, discursive space. I want to see, 100 more Richards out there. I want to see an army of people that are championing that view. Those should be the only two views that are on the table, and there shouldn't be this huge, I mean, it could be a friendly debate, but there shouldn't be this toxicity that we find in, for instance, this unprofessional review.
The way they respond there is just like apologetics, like ad hominems, ignoring straw man arguments, so fallacious, so unprofessional, so bad faith has been the response. I mean, they implied that his book is anti-Semitic.
Set of reviews that I read that Richard shared with me. And so the gatekeepers, the publishing houses, the culture, etc.
Gatekeepers are gatekeeping. The status quo on Jesus definitely existing was created by Christians and believers and is still maintained. Their only argument for the Jesus consensus is to appeal to the Jesus consensus.
You might be uncomfortable with what's being brought here, but this is real research. This isn't, the idea here isn't to be custodians of modern faith or Western sacred history.
They're guardian Western sacred history. Think about how big Christianity Inc., how much of an industry the Jesus tithing industry is. All the money to be made, all the books to be sold, all of the grifts on Jesus. It is the biggest sacred cow, but the emperor wears no clothes. And right now, these guys is reaching like a paradigm shifting tipping point where
PP 31 cent $5 on Rumble.
It is indefensible.
I meant is that you spend too little on political happenings and your insight is better on those than anyone I know. You called out Trump when everyone was sucking him off. You'd like to know of any more news.
Well, I usually start every show about like the latest with Trump on the political front. I don't know. I cover what interests me and I want to talk about with you guys and what's on my mind. So that's just the way it goes. It's my filter. No More News is the world through my eyes, basically.
It's to share with the world what our best, most illuminated kind of research would bring to bear on these topics. And, you know, if you want to read that, this is where you get that. But the idea that that we have to exist then as myth critics on the margins, as outlaws and desperados, and have our work, you know, so heavily scrutinized. Meanwhile, the gates are wide open for all sorts of nonsense that's being published and flooding the libraries and bookstores.
These peer reviews are more than happy to approve and give a kosher stamp of approval to a whole bunch of Christian apologetics type of scholarship. Like this latest one they got now going on, pushing that Josephus' mention of Jesus is actually all authentic, written by a Christian.
Amazon and so forth in our culture today that are all faith friendly. It's basically the West, as I've said, funding the academic legitimation of its own mythosystem. And so that's what's going on. I think it's a travesty. I think biblical.
You know who else has a lot riding on Jesus existing? Israel. Jesus, people, the Goyim believing in Jesus is basically a national security concern for Israel. Think about that. Who are Israel's greatest supporters around the world? The hundreds of millions of Christian Zionists and Christians around the world that support Israel because Jesus is from Israel. If it came out that Jesus never existed, everybody would say, well, so somebody lied? Who invented him? Who lied and why? It would be the next question. If there weren't Bart Ehrmans and these Jesus myth gatekeepers out there, all the Christians wouldn't be able to go, even the atheist scholars say it. And it would be over. You'd be lost. It's hanging on by a thread, but it is an institution. Like Kerry even says, he's like, he doesn't know of anything you can do to take away, to make the Bible believer biblical scholarship departments to not be biased and corrupted.
Studies is defunct over this. I think that University departments need to be hiring real secularists and not people that are in orbit around faith communities and writing fuzzy, nice, negotiating kind of work that's meant to coddle.
Caden 13 sent $5 on Rumble. I'm agnostic as to if Jesus existed or not. It was 2,000 years ago. Who could know if there's a Colonel or not? Carrier seems like a gatekeeping grifter to me. I'd rather read Green than Carrier any day.
No, I suggest you do read Carrier. Is he gatekeeping? A little bit. Also a little bit. With the same bullshit that that they're trying to gatekeep him with, by the way. But I think he knows. I think maybe he just had a misunderstanding of what I actually say. And he's maybe not willing to focus on certain aspects that he knows are there because he's worried about. I mean, look at how conservative he is on that issue and how he still gets attacked and called they're still trying to dismiss his book as anti-Semitism.
Sensibilities or sensitivities around Christian belief.
Yeah.
That can go on out in the popular culture possibly, but when you get to university, academic, serious publication, Richard's one of the most highly qualified people to talk on this topic. He went to two of the best programs in the world. And the idea that he's being met with just this onslaught of ridiculous aversion, I think needs to stop. And so I'm here to stand with him. You fight.
I've been seeing it. There's carrier derangement syndrome. There's little mobs of trolls and A-logs that are obsessed with attacking him all the time, and their attacks are bullshit. They are dirty. They are dishonorable. They are unprofessional.
Him, you're fighting me.
He is a threat to the Jesus status quo. Oh, God. We're going to have so many commercials probably. Hold on. Okay. 31, and then we're going to go to 38 after that.
Yeah, that reminds me. So reiterate, everyone here on this panel has read the peer review reports and the book. And so I'll just lead with this.
What's up with Derek? This is the worst shirt I've ever seen. Okay, the biceps are looking a little swole, but what is this, like a Lance Armstrong biker? I've never seen such a hideous shirt.
This question is like, does anybody have any examples of when the peer reviewers found any specific error of fact in the book?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't think there's like an error of fact. Yeah. It seemed more like they just disagreed.
That's right. Yeah.
And therefore, I don't recommend this book because of rhetoric or because of it sounds like online debate stuff. And by the way, that tells me they know you from prior. That's why I think it's bias against you, because it's like, hold on, it's blogs.
That's right. That's right. These peer reviewers were biased against him. Just like the whole consensus of these Christian scholars are.
I do think there's been an all hands on deck movement behind the scenes to try and cancel me.
Yep.
Because when my first book came,
and Robert Price, they all came for Robert Price as well. Remember that? The other top mythicist. You see what's going on here? They call them kooks. They call them fringe. They call them conspiracy bloggers. They call them anti-Semitic and racist. These are the type of, just like the other side, the Christian side goes, oh, you don't understand. You're Jews. You just hate. You just have daddy issues. Same type of bullshit non-arguments. You think the shirt looks great?
I think everyone was surprised. And what happened was then there were a lot of attacks on my publisher, my original on the history of Jesus. They got attacked a lot. Denigrated and belittled, and all kinds of pressure was brought to bear.
Questioning their validity as a good
exactly. Yeah. They think they faked the peer review and all of this.
This is Carrier is a problem.
But that was I saw that, and then I saw I've gotten clues and other evidence that there are people working behind the scenes trying to get me canceled. So I know, for example, there's a fatwa.
Hey! Here's a question. Oh, hey, to the Christians out there, if Jesus mythicism is such a psyop, where's Carrier getting all the big promotion? Where's the big Carrier Netflix documentary? Where is Carrier on Joe Rogan podcast? Where's Carrier getting any big promotion from Jews? Or even just like atheist, influential atheist? Don't see it.
Against me at the...
No, you see a bunch of pro-Jesus slop being peddled everywhere.
Journal for the Study of the Historical Jesus, where they've just basically said we will never publish anything by Richard Carrier, regardless of what it says.
Yeah.
Right. So,
you could become a historicist, and they probably wouldn't.
Well, they would totally do it then, right?
True.
No, but anyway, this policing exists. So I think that by the time I was publishing Now, there's this we have to stop this attitude within the guilds, right? And so I think that's what happened here. The two peer reviewers clearly had it in for me and couldn't come up with any actual specific error that I needed to correct or that undermined anything that I said. They just had to invent reasons to nix it, and they're all like dumb reasons. Like
they were like, he doesn't understand apocalyptic Judaism. That was one of the things. It's like, dude, his whole book is. I've learned so much about apocalyptic Judaism from the material he covers in his book, and I've read many other books about Judaism and early Christianity, and everything that he says is fully in line with my understanding of things. And they say, it'd be like me. I debate a Christian and I'm just like doing this. They just go, you don't understand. What? Understand what? What? Then they got nothing. Or it's something that you do understand better than them. That's the equivalent of what this supposed. Meanwhile, they'll pass peer review total nonsense from Christian apologists.
Gave the example earlier of that, but we'll get to more examples maybe as we go along. But they're not. It just struck me as very unprofessional. Like these, this is another reason I wanted people here that like Aaron and Richard have seen peer review reports. So like we know what they're supposed to look like. This is not what they really are supposed to look like. These are almost like childish email screeds. Like it was very strange.
They're very upset at you. You can tell there's an anger tone.
Tales of the Levant sent $10. It's probably a pipe dream, but I'd love to see Derek have you on to promote your book.
I thought about that too. I'm not going to say I haven't thought about that. We'll see. Maybe we'll do it he'll debate me on it or something. Maybe we can pull something like that. We will see. That could be cool.
Like they don't like what you're saying, and they're exaggerating in their language toward you. My personal perception is that when you make a statement like,
if he doesn't, I bet Neil would.
Nothing new. There's nothing new, and this is not going to be interesting in the field. First of all, you somehow.
That's what they said. They said this is not. The field would not be interested in this. We're not interested in learning Jesus didn't exist. That's basically their other reason for rejecting his peer review. We're not interested. Can you believe that? As if that's a legitimate excuse to deny the review. Yeah, we know why you're not interested. You're not interested in the truth. You're interested in maintaining this lie, this Jesus lie, this dogma.
Are omniscient on the field's knowledge of what would be interesting.
You're talking about them. They're saying
he sells more books than a lot of all these haters and reviewers put together, by the way, also. But yeah, nobody's interested in that. It's only like the number one central, most hotly contested and debated issue. But no, we're not interested in the leading mythicists getting published. Do you guys realize how big of a scandal this is? This is the biggest lie in 2,000 years. The most influential man to ever live never lived. A mythical figure is at the core of the greatest religion of the last 2,000 years. And it's the King of the Jews, the Messiah of Israel, meant to conquer the Goyim. Do you realize how? And it's a lie. Could you imagine if the dam broke on this cover-up?
Yeah.
In the peer review about why they're denying the book.
Yeah, there's nothing new in the book.
Which is bullshit.
It's totally false, wildly false. And it's too colloquial in style, which I don't think is the case. Like it's as colloquial as any
biggest
scam Bart ever. Ehrman's forgery and counter forgery has just as much snark in it as I do, right? Like there's tons of like peer-reviewed books that have the same kind of colloquial approach in terms of language. I'm not being like,
we didn't like your tone.
internet language. This is an academic language book, but
even
it is
then,
popular language.
they could have said, if they really felt that way, it was snarky, they could say, tone the snark down.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's for my original book on the historicity of Jesus, that was one of the notes I got from the peer reviewers. They said they identified
38.
They seem to be like pro-virgin birth or whatever, and you're thinking like, why is that in the peer review? But anyway, it is. I really strongly think that if they're not Christians, they're definitely like secularists who are.
Okay, hold on.
I would like the peer reviewers to publish them. I don't want. Well, I would totally accept what you're.
And this is the other shitty thing. They don't. I don't think he knows who did the peer review, and he had to ask and pressure them to even release why they rejected it. They're just going to reject it and not give him anything. It should all be published. We should know who did the review and exactly the whole write-up of why they justified rejecting the peer review. That's what should be. I can't believe that's not the standard practice.
Like if they want to publish a critique or whatever, that's fine. But what people want to see is what was actually the sort of, I want to say, unprofessional stuff that's in the reviews. Like you have to they should publish it. And I totally approve that they should publish it. So the only people who are keeping you, the audience, from seeing these review reports are the reviewers themselves, are the only ones who don't want you to see them. And I think you should get to see them because everything that we're talking about here is like really important, especially to what Richard was talking about before, which this illustrates to me that the field is captured by Christian ideology. And you can tell like
the field is captured by Christian ideology. I watched some hater, dumb scholar doing a video attacking Carrier. And he was like, Carrier talked about the industry, and they're like, what industry? What industry? Meanwhile, he's like, yeah, I'm in the academy, and we're in the guild, and I'm a member of SBL, which we're going to get into in a second, the Society for Biblical Literature, founded by a bunch of Christians. When they go, all the scholars agree, like they're basically referencing Bart Ehrman's summary of all of them. I'm telling you guys, this is such a lie, such a conspiracy. The cover-up is even just as shocking as the origins. The cover-up is still going on.
One of the reviewers seems to be like hung up on the virgin birth theory, like they seem to be like pro-virgin birth or whatever. And you're thinking like, why is that in the peer review? But anyway, it is. I really strongly think that if they're not Christians, they're definitely like secularists.
So you're telling me Christians are allowed to reject his peer review? I don't even see why Christians should be allowed to peer review stuff. Like conflict of interest? Come on.
Who are batting for Christian colleagues or something. Like it seems very pro-Christian, the reviews. But anyway, that ideology is policing, like Richard said, is policing good scholarship just because it's too offensive to talk about certain things. Like they don't like the arguments. It's not that there's factual errors.
Oh, it's offensive to show all the Judaism and all the rabbis wanting to rule us and how supremacist they are, huh? They'll do the same thing. The two off-limits topics in religious studies are criticizing Judaism, anti-Semitism, and questioning if Jesus existed. It's like, it's anti-Semitic to say Jesus is a myth because that means some Jews lied. That's the implications. And that's what they can't allow.
Identify fallacies. They can't come up with like an objective reason. Yep. They just think it's dangerous or bad or whatever. And so they're like opposing it. And that's the attitude that's going on. It's gatekeeping rather than professional peer review. And that was my impression. And I'll ask everyone who's read everything, like, do you think I'm wrong? Like, am I misreading?
Let me also come in with my perspective because I have the benefit of not just publishing in biblical studies, but also in physics and popular culture studies. So I've seen different areas of the sciences and humanities and the review process. I've even been a reviewer for books and articles. So I've been on both sides of it.
Yeah.
And
so have I, peer reviewer as well.
Yeah. So, this is just night and day from what I'm used to seeing. Like I've, worked in publishing science articles and things like that. And yeah, we get responses from the reviewers, and they'll say, I wish you would consider these things. I think this is erroneous. I think this is a source you need to be incorporating, etc. And sometimes, some reviewers are really going line by line. Here are the things that need to be changed before I'm willing to accept such and such for review. There's usually not tone policing, though. With a physics paper, it's usually tone is not so much the problem. Yeah. There are some exceptions. I've seen some bad physics papers saying like, you should believe me, and we're like Galileo being suppressed, but those are the exceptions. Yeah. And cranks. People that still trying to deny the Big Bang, for example, but that's another topic for another day. But nonetheless, the way you usually see this thing is saying, here's something that's wrong, here's the reasons it's wrong, here are the sources that should be cited, or here are the things that are factually wrong, here's what would need to be fixed at minimum before it could be reviewed or otherwise rejected. Right. And I've only straight up said, such and such article needs to be completely rejected because it doesn't meet standards. And I still have to say, here are the things that are deficient. Clearly, that's not what this review was. That is so far away from the norms that I've seen. And like I say, literally 3 different areas of academia. So this is not just abnormal in biblical studies, it's abnormal for scholarship.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was atrocious, a real shit bag of, it wasn't even advice really. It was just it was like toxic vitriol in some way. Yeah. Some guy, I'm just
toxic, that's the peer review, toxic vitriol. Like an angry email, they compared it to, like a kvetching Christian apologist. I'm not surprised at all.
Some guy at his keyboard just, I don't know, whacking off and typing and getting angry, and I don't know. It just did not strike me as anything even approaching or resembling something professional. I don't understand why the publishing house went ahead with that and said, okay, now this is what we're wanting to see happen in our review process.
Yeah,
it happened twice, which is really, it kind of suggests that the publisher themselves is not making the best decisions. They should be picking someone. I understand that maybe, let's just say my work or your work or Aaron's work or whatever, or whoever's work might not be everybody's cup of tea. Okay, fine. That's okay. Let's pick some reviewers though that at least are, sympathetic to new theories coming into the field. We're theorists, we're writing new stuff that's going to break paradigms and challenge some of the status quo. And so
literally in the title, right?
Yeah, you should have somebody there that's trying to be helpful in that kind of enterprise and giving helpful feedback. Yeah, it's okay if it's a little bit, they don't have to coddle us.
That's right.
But and they don't even need to accept everything that we're trying to publish everywhere. That's fine. But the idea that we should be treated with dignity and respect, though, and our ideas should be handled with a kind of professionalism that befits the stature of America. Takes all of the work we're putting into this. And so it's a thankless job. I know in Hollywood they can't make enough of trophies to give each other for their achievements and so forth. In this field, it's not a friendly field. It's not nice.
Yeah.
People in this field are not, collegial for the most part. They're not.
You see, even the people most connected to nature
just like dealing
aren't
with
connected
Christian
as
apologists.
There's a lot of toxicity in this field, and I like to see camaraderie. I like to see collaboration. I like to see us, driving each other to greater heights of brilliance and celebrating one another.
30. We'll do 45, 30.
Started complaining 6 months later, and then they did
45.
Started complaining 6 months later, and then they didn't give me the reports. And I said, well, okay, well, can I see the reports then? And so that took it was like a week later, for dragging, I don't know why, a week later, then they sent me the report. So it was a very shady process. But the idea that the editors usually can't just reject peer reviewers because they're under this they have this system of rules they have to follow. The rules are arbitrarily rigged to make it easy to gatekeep. So it makes it easy for peer reviewers to nix projects and to make it impossible to get around that. Some journals have procedures that are better than this, and I've dealt with that where I've had, look, these peer reviewers are fraudulent. The editor says, yes, they are. and then they get different peer reviewers and they do a turnaround really quickly. And I've had that happen. And so that process can work, but you have to have rules that actually make that possible. And so what happened here is, like, I could have turned around and tried a different academic press, right? And gone through it all again. And then what would they do? The peer reviewers would drag their ass and not doing anything until try to wait me out, right? Like wait 6 months, a year, whatever, like what's happening with the article on the Gregor piece. And then what? I've got either pull it or they'll reject finally when I start complaining, and then I got to start over. And it takes years and years and years to get my book published because I have to wait until I find someone who will ask an honest peer reviewer to peer review the book. So rather than do that, that's why I said, you know what? The peer reviewers found no errors of fact. I've been peer reviewed. Like, they had every opportunity to find something wrong.
But that's the point I brought up. I forgot a long time ago I was mentioning him because I don't know much about this peer review process. I mean, I'm a lay person here. I've never gone through it.
Yeah, you've never seen it. Yeah.
Never seen it, right? This is the first time I've read something that came out, and I hope, the process sounds and looks better than this for people.
It usually does, yeah.
Yeah. But my biggest complaint, and I talked to Carrie on the phone because I'm like, look, I tend to think there might be a guy some days, and sometimes I don't know, right? I mean, I really don't know. And I'm like, so what if they disagree with the fact, like the peer reviewer themselves thinks there was a Jesus, but they're reviewing? How does that work? And Carrie's like, that's fine. They can accept that they think I'm wrong about my conclusion, even if I'm factually correct about the data. My interpretation at the end of the day may be different than theirs. And they think, and I was like, oh, interesting. So technically you could have historicists.
Yeah, and some journals and publishers have actual forms. So they try to police this kind of behavior. They have actual mandatory procedures for the peer reviewer. So you have to actually answer the peer reviewer has to answer specific questions. They have to write paragraphs according to certain rules. They can't just write random screeds like this. Not all publishers have this, but I know some.
Thinks it is. Our historical evidence for Caesar Augustus, Judah the Maccabee, Queen Salome, Alexandra, Peter, or Beruria are all biased, embellished, imperfect, derivative, trope-laden, and polemical too. This doesn't mean the figures didn't exist. Heck, there are millions of ancient people we don't have any evidence for at all. They too existed. The whole idea of the book is anachronistic at best and anti-Jewish at worst. That's an accusation.
Yes,
wild.
It is.
You see that? And they say it's anti-Jewish at worst. At worst. They're implying that, guys, they're rejecting Carrier's mythicism book, saying that it's anti-Semitic. Can you believe that? The Christians say we're Jewish if we say Jesus is a myth. And then the Christian scholars say that it's anti-Semitic to say it's a myth. How about that? They're reading straight. That's Derek reading straight from the review of Carrier's peer review for his Jesus myth book. Okay, we're gonna back that up to 53. It's Derek reading exactly the sections of the peer review reviewers gave Carrier.
It is. Our historical evidence for Caesar Augustus, Judah the Maccabee, Queen Salome, Alexandra, Peter, or Beruria are all biased, embellished, imperfect, derivative, trope-laden, and polemical too. This doesn't mean the figures didn't exist. Heck, there are millions of ancient people we don't have any evidence for at all. They too existed. The whole idea of the book is anachronistic at best and anti-Jewish at worst. That's an accusation.
Anachronistic at best. How? How is it anachronistic? What's your argument? Can you believe that, guys? Yeah, they debunked it. No reasoning with Christ brains, I know. Yeah, they've lost all credibility to claim he's anti-Semitic for this book. And they're just coping, too. Did you hear the rest of that? That was coping. There's lots of people that nobody wrote about. Like, it's not even addressing his arguments. They are making the framework to where you can't criticize Christianity in order to protect Judaism. Right, with all this Trump anti-Christian bias stuff. Task force, and he just said it again yesterday.
Beruria are all biased, embellished, imperfect, derivative, trope-laden, and polemical too. This doesn't mean the figures didn't exist. Heck, there are millions of ancient people we don't have any evidence for at all. They too existed. The whole idea of the book is anachronistic at best and anti-Jewish at worst.
The idea is anti-Jewish at best. The whole idea of saying Jesus isn't real is anti-Semitic. That's how they're defending the Jesus lie. Have I not been trying to say this? Vindication. Hello, vindication. I've only been screaming about this for like 6 years now online.
That's an accusation.
Yes,
wild.
It is.
Because in order to posit that
Tales
Jesus
of
didn't exist, it's necessary.
Biodigital Goblin sent $20 on Rumble. Ty Adam.
Thank you.
There are millions of ancient people we don't have any evidence for at all. They too existed. The whole idea of the book is anachronistic at best and anti-Jewish at worst. That's an accusation.
Yes,
wild.
It is.
Because in order to posit that Jesus didn't exist, it's necessary to be completely ignorant of Second Temple Jewish concerns.
Completely ignorant. You're completely ignorant of the Second Temple. That is such bullshit. That is retarded. That's not an argument either. That's like saying, you don't know the ecumenical council of this one thing. It's like irrelevant to the point. Look at Carrier. You don't understand. You don't even know. That's basically what their review is. They don't even say, what is he missing? What about Second Temple Judaism contradicts with what he's arguing? Nothing like that. Do you guys realize how, what's the word to describe this?
There are millions of ancient people we don't have any evidence for at all. They too existed. The whole idea of the book is anachronistic at best and anti-Jewish at worst. That's an accusation.
Yes,
wild.
It is.
Because in order to posit that Jesus didn't exist, it's necessary to be completely ignorant of Second Temple Jewish concerns, apocalyptic Judaism, the Jewish tensions and ups and downs from the Maccabees to the Herods, all of which make Jesus A, make perfect sense, so much as B, be almost...
Yeah, makes a mythical Jesus make perfect sense, actually. And yes, isn't this crazy anymore? I'm like, this is like them saying, Carrier doesn't read. That's the tier of the argument. Carrier doesn't even read. He doesn't even know about like Jews back then. That's what his whole book's about.
It's boring. The effort is wrong-headed and quixotic. Chaotic. Okay, it's like a weird. Okay, and just barking up the wrong tree. And just my comment on that is like what Miller's comment was, and it's like no one is that heavily mythologized on that level, except like usually mythical people. And anyway,
it's that quixotic is exceedingly idealistic, unrealistic, and impractical. So just like saying, "Oh, that you're unrealistic." That's not an argument. They do this to you every night. Need more Amalek? I know. Doesn't this sound familiar?
That's especially funny because I have the whole section. This is another new thing that's in the book, is I do a Bayesian analysis of the historicity of Apollonius of Tyana, which hits all of these points. Right? I'm explicitly making all the points that they're claiming in that paragraph you just read that I don't make. No, I literally say all that same stuff in there. So like, it's not even a legitimate criticism of the book because the book actually addresses all of that stuff. It says exactly that. But yeah, you can tell that sort of like they're under identity threat. They're like terrified of this result, and they're like doing this
identity threat. They're shutting it down. The Christians or whoever did this, shutting it down. Clearly.
Sort of like screed, the sort of, it's disconnected from my argumentation because it's not even correctly describing my argumentation. It's misattributing things to me that are not true. And then when they did the anti-Semitic thing, it's like they're saying, because you can't talk about this without, whatever, Second Temple stuff. But they don't give an example anywhere in the whole thing. They don't give an example of like what. Like I thoroughly center everything within Judaism, like thoroughly. Like every chapter, I'm like doing. This makes sense within Judaism because, and I give like extensive scholarship and citations and stuff. So there's no way that you could say that I'm ignoring.
It's total gaslighting. It's just blatant cope and lies as always.
The Jewish context, right? So like if you're saying I'm ignoring, like, is there something about Jewish context that I'm ignoring that changes a conclusion in my book? Tell me what it is. right? Like they never give an example. They just say this, like, well, you really need to know more about Second Temple Judaism. It's like, do I? Like, can you give me an example? Can you cite a page where there's something that's relevant? And that's the kind of that's really characterizes the whole. Both reviews actually are written like that. They're in that same sort of colloquial shit kicker tone. The same sort of dismissive, like ignoring the actual contents of the book, claiming it doesn't have things in it that in fact it has.
Hey, guy on Rumble that's bragging about being banned on Rumble, I'm about to ban you if you don't shut up. You're being annoying. You're sidetracking, distracting the whole chat, and you're bothering me. So shut up or you're gone.
All of that kind of stuff. It's very, very typical.
And the other reviewer is even more scathing than that review.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's even more, I would say, childish, but yeah, exactly. So anyway, that's how to...
Bills are sent $5 on Rumble. Didn't Price and Carrier say you were pretty much anti-Jewish at worst?
Yeah, they did the same thing. So they're guilty of the same type of gatekeeping with the same type of bullshit arguments. Definitely.
What's your take on all of that? Like, am I going too far in my rant there?
Well, which just shows, hey, guess what, guys? That's why I'm saying it's so vindicating.
I don't think so. In fact, one of the things that Derek had read had reminded me, because when the reviewer was complaining that what you wrote was anti-Jewish, I just pulled out my copy of this book by Niels Peter Lemke about kind of the history of minimalism, Old Testament minimalism. And there's this long quote from Gary Rensburg at Rutgers, so definitely not a nobody.
So guess what? When scholars started realizing that there's no evidence for the Old Testament being real, they also defended that consensus and status quo by saying, it's the consensus and you're anti-Semitic to question it. It's anti-Jewish to say that they're not chosen by God. That's what they're basically trying to enforce here amongst supposed secular biblical studies.
In Old Testament studies, but his response to biblical minimalism, I'll just read a few passages that seem a little bit reminiscent.
Please do.
Right.
Some of them, the biblical minimalists, are driven, as I indicated above, by Marxism and leftist politics. Some of them are former evangelical Christians who are now see the evils of their former ways. Some of them are countercultural people left over from the 60s and 70s whose personality includes the questioning and authority of all aspects of their lives. Further along, if not actual Marxism, it's leftist politics in general. If it's not revolution against the sins of one's youth, the sin being once having identified as an evangelical Christian, then the issue is an anti-authority culture in general. Further, I do not hesitate to use these terms. These scholars are driven by anti-Zionism approaching on anti-Semitism. So,
see, this is how they defended against the Old Testament being myth too. They called it anti-Semitic. What does that tell you, Christians? Wake up. This is what's going on. This is the gatekeeping that's happening. Same thing that's happening now. This is bombshell, guys. This is huge. This is the greatest lie of all time that we're talking about here. And the systemic cover-up of this myth.
This is apparently the normal rhetoric that Old Testament scholars use for people who basically say, hey, our methodology's crap. We shouldn't just believe everything the Bible says. We should have primary sources to understand secondary sources. And this is apparently anti-Semitic.
Right.
You take a very highly critical view, you question pericope, you question narrative because it is a Jewish, it has obviously Jewish roots, gospel material at least is centered with Jewish, if you will, ideal, okay, because you could say there's a lot of Greco-Roman influence.
Sure.
But like, if you just deny it happened, in a sense, you hate Jews, or you, and if you do that with the history of Jewish people, and it's kind of weird, like, when did we?
So if you say like Jews invented a Messiah, and the point of the Messiah is to theologically conquer the world, like, then you hate Jews. This is the same thing that they did to me, and now it's happening back to them. Down the chain of the gatekeeping.
He should start.
Yeah, he should apologize for that shade. Otherwise, he has no room to complain, right?
a fictive term for haters of haters of Hellenes and others, because we now realize Zeus didn't exist. We accept Heracles as fiction and fabulous, but so did the ancient authors.
Anti-Hellenic.
I know.
Yeah.
I think also it just.
Yeah. Oh, you don't believe Thor is real? Well, you're anti-white. You're anti-Nordic.
Shows that, okay, these were below the belt, just seriously unprofessional, treatments of your work, Richard. And I've written I've written some things in my past. And so I know the kind of work that goes into that. It was non-trivial, hundreds of pages. And you've got somebody there that's not even clear that they read it entirely. And they're just vomiting onto the keyboard all sorts of insulting and fallacious and incendiary kind of it's just inappropriate on every sentence almost. And there were a few things there where it felt like, okay, maybe that could be helpful advice, but they're almost trying to feign like professionalism for just a second here or there, but then they can't help themselves and they just plunge back into stupidity. And if the publisher is listening to this, I suggest you get new reviewers, people that I don't know if they exist out there that can handle the kind of scholarship that's coming, but you need professionalism, truly academic, secular thinkers that are out there that have the ability to work through this kind of literature and this kind of theoretical work. Without getting, unhinged.
I don't think we've got one power chat in of anybody shocked by this. Is this not amazing? Do you guys realize this has been my number one obsessive issue?
Tales of the Levant sent $5. This kind of makes me happy because it's bringing to light what's going on behind the scenes, and it vindicates what the Gorshiak has been saying all along.
Yeah. Hey, hint to you guys, if they're calling you anti-Semitic, maybe there's something there. Big hint. I've been screaming about the academic gatekeepers. I've been screaming about Bart Ehrman's gatekeeping of the Jesus question. All the gatekeepers on both sides, the cover-up of this big lie, and now more transparent in your face than ever, a perfect example of what's happening.
Inside over it, and this kind of it's just really adolescent. But one of the things I would say to our listeners, some people kind of wonder how things got to where they're at. Well, I would just want to point out the obvious here, that we're dealing with, we don't have anyone in Roman antiquity that's a historical figure that is so thoroughly and consistently and extensively mythological in his treatment. And so where does that put us if we're rational adults looking at this?
Yeah. Not serious.
Yeah, I would expect there to be a range of treatments that would.
It's so clearly mythological.
Big Mama 14 sent $50 on Rumble. They would like to bring back witch burnings so they could put Carrier on the pyre.
Oh, they do, man. I'm telling you, these mobs of Carrier haters, they are disgusting. They are like little evil troll demons of these haters obsessed with Carrier, and the personal attacks and the childish behavior that they engage in. It is atrocious. It is atrocious. They would. And in the past, Christians would burn your book and burn you if you try to say Jesus is a myth. That is a fact. This is just we're not totally free from that paradigm yet, because this is just a digital book burning. Carrier is a heretic to these people and a blasphemer. That's what we're witnessing here.
Happily include.
Thank you so much, Big Mama.
What Richard's bringing, and that this would be right smack dab in the middle of secular mainstream work in this topic. If it were a healthy, appropriate discourse, if it were the West handling its own sacred traditions with intellectual honesty. And so this is exactly what should be being published, this kind of work, and that he is constantly up against these kind of, hurricane of crap. as he's trying to bring forward his best scholarship into these topics. And he's doing the honest work that's not beholden to the herd and the status quo and the different forces that are out there that up to this point have governed this discussion. And so he deserves our support.
Yeah, I'm reminded of my.
Hey guys, give me a B in the chat. A B is in boy in the chat if you want me to boot this guy from the live chat on Rumble.
Section in this book, the new book, on Apollonius of Tyana, where I make these points that you're talking about, where in that field,
329,
and it's the kind of stuff that I wish we had for Jesus. If we did have for Jesus, one of the peer reviewers goes on this kind of like, well, if we had all this evidence, I think that Carrier would still maintain that his doubt in the historicity of Jesus, which is a very like weird, like you're literally like gaslighting me, and you're like trying to get into my head and claiming that you know better how I would respond to something, and it's all hypothetical, so this has no business in a peer review report because it has nothing to do. You haven't seen it happen, and it doesn't matter. It's not happening.
Yeah, that's completely inappropriate. That's a Christian apologist type of cope. In the review they said even if Carrier had all the evidence in the world, he still wouldn't believe it. Like, okay, cope more. Carrier's this guy. He's the top Jesus mythicist in the world, wrote On the Historicity of Jesus and a bunch of other books. And if you're new here, he just submitted his new book to a journal for peer review, and they're talking about how it was rejected with a bunch
Ash
of
from
bullshit.
Alexandria sent $20 on Rumble.
Thank you, Ashes.
Hi, Adam. Thanks for all your work. Oh, not a J.
Confirmed, not a J.
But if we had the evidence that we have for Apollonius, my probability results for Jesus would be different. They would look more like my results for Apollonius. And that's one of the points that I make in the book, is I show, like, here's a Bayesian analysis for Apollonius, right? And, like, if we had the same kind of stuff for Jesus, it would be.
And all the earliest stuff we have of Jesus is no biographical details, no earthly context. It's all mythical, heavenly, from scriptures Jesus. Why was he rejected? They said he's anti-Semitic, basically. They said a bunch of cope. They coped. They said, you don't understand. And then they said, and you're anti-Semitic, and what was the other word?
Literally the same result, because it's the same kind of
anachronistic.
And has the same mathematical effect. It doesn't matter what you plug in as long as it meets the same kind of criteria. So, but we don't have that. That's all I'm saying, is that we don't have that, right? And then this fucking flames them out. They can't handle it.
I think, again, there's an allergic, it feels even those who are secularists, and I'm putting in scare quotes here, those who aren't necessarily, if you ask them, you went to a bar and had a beer with them, you say, do you believe this stuff? And they're like, no, I mean, not really. Okay, there's some kind of, like, you know, whales have the existing bones still that shows that there's like a leftover fossil there in their genetic code for where their legs used to be. Okay, there's some fossil remaining because this is a living religion, and there's a tendency, I think, on.
There are still forces covering up that it's a myth. Exactly. Like to say all these Christians that love to cite Bart Ehrman and his supposed consensus, Bart Ehrman, did Jesus exist? He literally was a Christian into his adult life, and it inspired him to go to college at Moody Bible Institute and then Princeton
Dr.
Theological
Brewski sent
Seminary.
$5 on Rumble. Not
Religious
a J.
schools.
Haloden.
Thank you. Religious schools. He's still married. His wife is an academic and a Christian. He's made a whole career as a best-selling author telling you about who the real historical Jesus was. But then he goes, oh, I've got no skin in the game. Just because he's not a Christian anymore and he doesn't believe that Jesus is really born of a virgin doesn't mean he still doesn't have the Christian apologetic mind. Doesn't mean that he's not emotionally invested in Christianity still. I mean, he was such a Christian and evangelical that it inspired him to go to be a pastor or a Christian apologist in university. And this is who we cite as the seculars. Even Bart Ehrman says. There's a whole chapter in my book citing a bunch of other scholars and books to refute Ehrman's arguments, which are incredibly bad.
treating this completely different than what we would if it was Heracles. If we had a living Heracles cult today, and I'm not talking about a few people who are called Helens in Greece who believe in Heracles that have zero significance.
We're talking 60% of Congress is Herculeans.
We're talking about, yeah, like 30%.
It's like 90% of Congress is worshiping a magical Jewish superhero that was meant to conquer us. That's the reality of the situation. Are you going to call that anti-Semitic, Carrier? That the Messiah was meant to enslave and have the nations bowing down to him? Every knee will bow, like in Isaiah 45. All the nations and languages on the earth in Daniel 7 worshiping the Son of Man. That's the part. And what do you know? It worked. And now they're calling you anti-Semitic for pointing out that there's no baby in the bathwater.
Of the planet's population. Okay, like this is kind of a big deal, and I don't think people are factoring in how big of a deal that would be. I wish there were more people coming in who are challenging your position, and I brought this up to you. This is how a lot of people, I think, misunderstand you, and that's why did a recording.
We've done some videos. People can check out Myth Vision.
He's so unfairly treated.
By the way, like the
just
Derek
like me,
ran,
I'm
like,
unfairly
here's
treated too.
your opportunity to ask questions.
Yeah,
got a bunch of questions, and we've done several. We'll do more. They're all great questions. Like they lead to like really great like 25-minute clips on this, and there's stuff that most people don't know about.
Okay, 151:48
stuff, but it's really cool stuff. Anyway, so I wanted to point that out because what you're about to talk about is
exactly where the discussion is at. Let's go to this one little verse here and this one little area over here where maybe that's all that's left though, right? And so I think we just got to be honest that the lion's share of evidence is pointing a decidedly one direction here.
Yeah, mythical Jesus. The way they're trying to act like you can't even question it is total gaslighting also. You know what's crazy though? Like 2,000 years of this lie, the greatest lie of all times, and Derek and Neil and these YouTube channels and Richard Carrier are like, and us.
Garrett sent $10. I've been enjoying a small YouTube channel called Hyperborean Knowledge lately. Hail the old gods. $10 Feed White Babies Challenge.
Thank you, Garrett. I'll have to look at that channel. I never heard of it. So it is possible it's a David and Goliath situation with what the institutional power that we're up against and the cult-like hive Abrahamic echo chamber that's defending it. Like there's a reason that Carrier doesn't get any big interviews. He's being gatekept. If it weren't for Derek, he would really be getting gatekept. If all the other scholars, the leftist scholars that Derek finally stood up to had their way, he would never have on Robert Price or Richard Carrier. If they had their way, they would have him censored. They'd say, don't give that blogger kook a platform. That's what they would say.
And he and I, may have some differences in terms of, I think it's kind of like the debate on, was there a historical, King Arthur? There's plenty of room for a discussion there, but what there isn't room for is the guy coming in trying to make a case for Merlin and trying to, reestablish, English history and create this whole kind of paradigm around this historical figure that we have certitude about and all that. There isn't room for that. So that should be laughed out of the room. And that's exactly what's not happening here. And so there's plenty of space for, I think, some more discussion. I think this should actually be exactly where the discussion is at. This idea that you go to SBL and there's, 6,000 people confused over this one topic and not.
They also talk about how a lot of the other secular scholars are scared to weigh in. They're scared of getting the wrath. They're scared of offending and losing connections with other top scholars. They want to stay out of the debate because it's so divisive and controversial.
You're dealing with it. I mean, honestly, me and Rick talked about this on the phone. We feel really bad because I know there's people axe grinding against you. I know. I've spoke to them. Look, I've talked to everybody under the sun, and I'm not naming names, but I know.
And there's machinations behind the curtain where they're actually trying to convince peer reviewers to nix my work. And stuff like that.
And there's rumors.
It's happening. Yeah,
there's people spreading rumors to try and poison the well of your character, of who you are.
Yeah,
just you name it, of all sorts of shit for years.
They're trying to call him a rapist and stuff, attacking his sex life, as if that's relevant to his arguments about Jesus. That's the type of.
And these are people who are in these circles on social media, connected to other academics. And I got in a lot of fluff for my video that happened a couple months back. I'm just emotional wreck, 4 days no sleep, getting attacked from everyone under the sun for simply wanting to interview someone, okay, that I think is an expert that needs and deserves to be at the table. And long story short, I made a comment about this, that I knew that there's people who are out to get you that are definitely axe grinding against scholarship like Dr. Carrier. And someone on Twitter questioned my claim, and they're like, "No, that's hearsay." And I'm like, "The people told me, okay? Like, I don't want to get myself buried here because I have friends. I'm not naming names. So if I'm a scholar friend of yours or you're a friend of mine, I'm not talking, but I'm just simply saying, I know without a doubt that there is like a hatred of you and a definite despising of your work, and they do not want your shit in there. And that's not to craft a conspiracy.
And the reason that they hate him so much is just because he's saying Jesus is a myth. Sure, like, there's been stuff that's escalated, and when they attack him, he responds. So there's some, bad blood between Carrier and some other scholars because they're having huge disagreements and there's egos involved. But the reason that the animosity originated in the root cause of the animosity is just because the Jesus question. That's the real reason for it. That's why there's all these mobs of obsessive haters.
To make this is a fact. I know without a doubt.
Yeah.
And it's just unfortunate. I feel bad that, why is that not at the table?
Honestly, I think I'm that specific theory aside, I think the peer reviewers, the reports, everyone here has read.
$15. The tides are really turning. Adam, pushing Crisis King so hard has made it apparent to many that it's a utility or tool. Yeah. It's important to note you are particularly effective with young men.
Sure. I think I'm effective with the ladies too. Though I think the arguments can persuade anybody with a brain. Thank you, though.
Illustrates this point that this is gatekeeping. It is not legitimate, like scholarly peer review, right? So that was my impression, right? Because this is just bullshit. Wow, I mean, it seems like the field is just gone now. Like you can't. There's no respectable standard left, and I think it was caused by my publication. I think it really
it brought it to light.
Like I said, set all hands on deck. Like everybody, okay, we have to stop this now.
Yes. This damage control. They're all going into damage control.
Shouldn't have happened, right? We shouldn't have allowed this in the first place. And so they're like pulling all the levers of power, including threatening my original publisher about that. So like that's definitely absolutely happening. And I make this point in what's going to drop tomorrow, my article against Schmidt, where the opposite happens, where you have like really crappy apologetics is being passed through peer review, even though it absolutely should not have.
And then
because it
says
all the
Christian, he's talking about the Josephus book, saying that Josephus passage about Jesus is authentic. And this dude, it's Oxford Press, peer reviewed. All the big name scholars are endorsing it, and he's going around and giving a bunch of bullshit to all of the Christian apologist networks and podcasts from this Christian guy that wrote this Josephus book. The contrast between the reaction to the two couldn't be any more in contrast.
The peer reviewers want. They want that. So it's like, yeah, that's cool. We don't care that it's completely illegitimate. But the thing is like when they do that they're creating this essentially, they're essentially creating the thing that they keep denying exists, right? They're creating this phenomenon of illegitimate peer review standards where you have an extraordinary false negative when it's against what they want to happen, it's their desire, their emotions, etc. and you have a high false positive result when it's something that says what they want to hear. And this results in like peer reviews value is declining in biblical studies because it's more becoming about policing ideas rather than actually improving their quality. This is something that's happening in all fields. I'm going to write a blog eventually about, because a lot of other people are talking about this, the what's called the crisis in peer review. This is in all fields, even physics, everybody, they're complaining about this. This is a problem it's rising. The problem there is mostly other motives, money and other things. It's not Christianity. But in this field, the driver of the false negative rate and the false positive rate, the driver of the corruption of peer review is Christianity, even if it's not Christian specific.
Christians and believers, Muslims and Jews even, are corrupting the system. And the grifters, the accomplices, even if they're secular, they're grifters. They want to go along with the flow. They want to be in with the in-group. They don't want to rock the boat. Just like we see online with these people. They're not Christians, but they'll still say Christ is king. They'll still go, oh, synagogue of Satan. They'll still say, oh, they worship demons and the devil. They'll still do all that shit and not criticize it. Same type of middleman gatekeeping that are taking the side of the apologists.
It's them working through, like, trying to persuade secular scholars to do certain things, not say certain things, say certain things, and so on. So that you're basically creating this panopticon where a secular scholar can't say a certain thing. They just feel that this will cause problems for me. It'll cost a lot of emotional labor, right? I ran into this. This was with
because they say they love to repeat over and over again, no serious scholar questions that Jesus is real. So then everybody goes, oh no, if I say actually I don't think he's real, they'll all say I'm not a serious scholar. No professor at any university questions Jesus. So that's another veiled threat. You don't believe in Jesus? Well, maybe you're not. So there's two PhDs trying to go get a job at a university that has a bunch of donors that are big Christians. Which one's going to get the job? The one that believes Jesus, that goes, oh yeah, I can't question Jesus, or the one that goes, actually, I think it could be a myth. I think it could be made up. Who's going to get the job? This is the type of thing that goes through the heads of even the few secular scholars that there are. Am I right?
To the actual scholars with this, where in private they say, like, you know what, that would cause so much grief for me, I'm just not gonna go there, right? And it's not that they necessarily fear that they're going to be fired. Some do. Actually, I've had them tell me that.
People avoid conflict and going out on a limb a lot of times.
And it's not necessarily that they fear whatever else. But even though they do, like, they can fear it even though the threat isn't there. So it doesn't matter that maybe you're completely immune to being fired. But if you think you aren't, if you fear it, that's enough. But it doesn't even matter, because it's the emotional labor of having to deal with all the drama of the people secretly behind you, pressuring you, arguing with you.
Yeah. Do you want to get boosted by all the Christians, or do you want all the Christian wrath after you too? Because we know how the e-crusaders act.
Harassment, right? So you're basically going to be harassed by your own colleagues and friends if you stand up for a thing. So it's just, even though you believe in the thing, you're just not going to do it. Like, you're going to talk about something else. It's just too much work. It's too much emotional labor to go there. So I'm just not going to go there. And so you create this sort of phenomenon in the field that molds things in the interest of the Christian party, essentially, right? So, this field is definitely captured that way. And the Schmidt book passing peer review is just like the cherry on the cake of this. Is like, I think it's just done, basically.
That's the Josephus
and so, like,
book.
and the way they treated me is
he has a blog. He just came out with a blog about why this Josephus argument is trash.
Objective third-party reviewers here pointing that out. No, that shows. We've got the false negative rate. We've got the false positive rate. It's a problem. It's a serious problem. And Richard said something earlier that reminded me of, I quote or cite Lester Grab wrote an article about this called The Corrupting Consensus. And I cite this in the book. And I feel like absolutely the peer reviewers just glossed right over this. I know they didn't read it, but Lester Grab was making the same.
I would ask Carrier, like, people always, I hear the argument like, oh, there's Jews that even believe he existed. Like, yeah, like, there's incentive for everybody to believe in Jesus for Israel. It is a national security concern that the Christian backing of Israel is not undercut by all the scholars saying he never existed, some Jews made him up, would not be good for Israel. That would not be good. Right? It's act like they're not invested in all of the Christian support that they get.
The exact same complaint like 10, 20 years ago or whatever, right? So he saw it, right? It was
Old
already
Testament scholar?
It was Old Testament, yeah. He saw it already happening. And so now, of course, a lot of Old Testament scholars, especially oldies, know the Thomas Thompson affair. And, there's a lot of people have like revisionist history versions of what happened, but there are some who are like telling the truth about what really happened. And it's very similar to what's happening to me in that regard. So
Thomas Thompson was a scholar who believe he said the Old Testament was not real. Part of the big things in the Old Testament were not real. And he was shunned and attacked and ended up having to do manual labor, and then it turned out years later that he was vindicated on all of it, and that's how they treated him.
So the only difference is that I found a way to make money without depending on the industry, so that they couldn't punish me the way they punished Thompson. I'm immune to their levers of influence and power, and that pisses them off. I think it literally angers them, and so they look for any opportunity to gatekeep me and keep me out of the guild, essentially. And that's happening, and we have documentation of that happening. So
you kind of wonder if they had.
It's so scandalous, guys. This is a huge scandal. This video's got 10,000 views.
If we had. Maybe your own civilization isn't allowed to do the write-up of your own like sacred content. Like you think of Tehran, like what's the odds of like University of Tehran that you're going to get an accurate, careful, proper description of the origins? Right.
Yeah,
it's not forthcoming.
Good comparison. Yeah, that'd be like some Muslim-dominated country and like all of them telling you the truth that Muhammad didn't exist, them allowing that.
And, this kind of thing. And so if we all just kind of wrote up each other's religion instead, here's the...
Yeah, Christians can't be involved in the historical Jesus question. They really can't. You don't get to cite a consensus that's full of a bunch of Christians and say, okay, well, I guess that's it. Can't question it.
Point out that the American industry, I'd say the Western industry generally, so we're going to include Canada, Europe, etc. And we have this happened to Ludeman, right? Like the same, like sort of trying to get him fired, yada yada. And he didn't even go as far as me. Like he just barely like moved like 10 inches. It was like a very small move, but it was enough. Like how dare you? And they tried to destroy him, and it didn't work. But nonetheless, everybody sees that happen, right? And they say like, well, that happened to him, and I don't want to deal with the grief, etc. So that's still a reality. But the question is, so I don't know how to frame this. So like,
oh wait,
what do we do, right? Like I the best that I could do is this. I can just publish anyway, right?
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem publishing. Useful, even if you're a historicist and want to defend the historicity of Jesus, this is the book for you. Like you've got like, this is what you got to meet. This is the level you got to get to defend the historicity of Jesus. And I really want someone to do that. Like someone,
someone really good.
Yeah. Like Mark Goodacre or even Robin Walsh, like somebody who can do this and say like,
oh, and by the way, there's been no scholars doing books proving Jesus existed that was peer reviewed. Like there's not like that's been done there. Bart Ehrman's book is like the closest thing to it, and it's been ripped to shreds. And for those of you who don't know, he's been afraid of debating Carrier for a decade. Won't do it. And Price debated him, and Price shit the bed and is awful debater.
Yeah, okay, all right, got it. And take it seriously, not rage skim it, which I think they wouldn't. Like, yeah, I don't think Walsh or Goodacre would rage skim something. I think they would take it seriously. And then write the challenge book, like write the peer-reviewed monograph that is pro-historicity, that makes your best case. And I do wonder if they don't do that because they think they can.
Yo, Bifurcation, thank
sent
you.
$20 on Rumble. Trying to make the goal.
Thank you, Bifurcation. You're the man.
Robin Walsh, like somebody who can do this and say like, yeah, okay, all right, got it. And take it seriously, not rage skim it, which I think they wouldn't. Like, yeah, I don't think Walsh or Goodacre would rage skim something. I think they would take it seriously. And then write the challenge book, like write the peer-reviewed monograph that is pro-historicity, that makes your best case. And I do wonder if they don't do that.
The Judeo-industrial complex is not allowing what you're doing, Carrier. Do you not get that yet? That's what it is.
Because they think they can't. That there's no case. You can't do it. And you don't want to admit that you can't do it. And I make that point throughout the book at several points. And people can see it's not just something I throw out there. Like, yeah, I make that point after surveying a bunch of examples where you go like, oh, I think you might be right. Great. So, but if you don't believe me, you got to read the book, because then that's where all the receipts are. Right. Yeah. So anyway, that's my personal take on my own book, I guess. But it is gratifying to hear people like react to it and start asking the questions that follow from mythicism, which are different and interesting questions. And I talk about this in the book. I give examples. It's all covered in there.
Thank you. Branko S, thank you for that super chat, my friend. I really appreciate the support. Robert Rice, thank you for the 20. The harassment of Dr. Carrier behind the scenes is ridiculous. The critics should address your arguments with evidence and arguments. You might have to name names to hold people accountable, compel them to make an argument.
Name names. Yeah. Robert Price for $20. Name the names, Carrier.
I don't know the names, so I can't really do that.
Yeah, I
that's the whole point of a secret, like, backroom maneuvers.
Well, I know names. We all know names of people who publicly, or at least tried to go after you.
You have the journalism problem that you don't want to burn a source, because then you don't get sources anymore.
Well,
so.
yeah, there's that issue, but then there's the other issue of some people have actually just vocally in groups tried to like slander you and literally ruin your name.
Certainly you can find that online. That's not even public. You can go find the people who are saying bullshit.
No, just like all the people that try to never address what I say and just slander me. Same exact treatment. Including Carrier, who did the same thing, and Price did the same thing. Hey, Robert Price, that's a good point. You want to critique me? Maybe you should address my argument instead of just throw names at me, Robert Price, and just wave your hand and go, oh, he says Jews invented Jesus? Oh, the Messiah is meant to rule the Goyim? No. These guys are hypocrites. No room to cry about this when they all did the same thing to me.
Tried to critique you in your work, and
well, that's also true. Yeah. You can find that on my blog.
Solera Knight, thank you for the super chat and being a member. Does nature have obsolete paradigms, or is this just a human construct with an ever evolving perspectives within technology and discovery?
Yeah, paradigms is just how humans try to understand the world. It's true, and then they end up adopting much better views of like their own.
I like that point. Imagine our theology. Spurg's reading thousands of scientific books instead. I know, imagine if we weren't preoccupied in arguing about ancient Jewish fairy tales with so many people in the world. Imagine that reality. We're all not distracted with a bunch of primitive, ancient, superstitious nonsense.
Personal life, their own relationships, their own politics, and make the world better for other people because they're voting better. So that's how it could have an effect. I don't think that this is the most efficient way to have that effect. I think it's really just a trivial debate over some random historical subject. It's
like, this is the most. I can't believe Carrier just said that. He just said his life's work of proving Jesus is a myth. He just called a trivial. What was it? Trivial, not important thing. It is so important. There's a huge difference. If there really was a historical figure and they just embellished and exaggerated stories after the fact, that's more understandable. But if they invented him whole cloth, that has way greater implications on the motive of who did it, how they did it, and why, which is all my book is about.
Like, was the 2nd century Roman Empire's economy primitive or complex? Like, that's not going to change the world, right? The answering that question is not going to change the world, but it does matter, right? Like, it's important. Historians, as the memory cells of society, do need to get these things right. We can't be gaslighting the world. So it does matter, but it's not like the most important shit in the world. There's more important things.
Thank you.
I don't think so. Have you not seen? Maybe he just doesn't know what's going on in the religious right, or in Israel, or around Trump and all the Christian Zionists and like the big Christianity, like the Judeo-Christian industrial complex, is a massive problem. And Jesus, the historical Jesus, is the linchpin of all of it that holds it all together. This whole house of cards of this Jewish theological paradigm is all on the cornerstone, held up by Jesus being a historical figure. And then he downplays the significance of it. Just shows to me he doesn't get it.
Watch the Collapse podcast, sent $5 on Rumble. Definitely clipping that. Laid it out perfectly, brother.
Thank you. Watch the Collapse.
I can add to that a little bit. Even within the paradigm of being a Christian, I could imagine a mythicist view actually becoming fulfilling because, one, if you're stuck with the literalness of the Bible and the things that Jesus says that you might find objectionable in the 21st century, saying that, hey, these are tropes, these are interpretations, this is the politics of the...
Okay, you guys are right. As an academic, Carrier probably has a hard time zooming out and making inferences about Jewish geopolitical power, maybe. Abrahamic Matrix Story says Carrier doesn't have his finger on the pulse of geopolitics. That's why he doesn't see the full picture the way you do. Yeah, it could be some of that. We'll cut him a little slack, I guess.
First or second century, and you realize if ultimately these are the creations of basically what people imagined, or what they thought was being spoken to them by Jesus through some other means, if that opens up the possibility of thinking you can hear Jesus in a new way, I could see even within a mythicist Christian paradigm, this being more fulfilling. So I wouldn't even say necessarily you have to go full atheist, even though that's of course where I'm at.
Really good.
Physically.
Yeah, and I'm glad you made that point. Yeah. Because I do think, like, if you want to support...
Okay, that's about all of this. Here's an old clip I did of Richard C. Miller talking about the scandal in biblical studies. This is a good little 2 minutes he did at Gnostic Informant. Let's watch this.
That's part of the scandal.
Let's do some fedora tipping with Richard C. Miller.
That's part of the scandal of this whole field, really, is the arbitrary lines and walls that have been built up. They're relics, they're leftovers from a Christian medieval scholastic kind of world that dominated. That's where we get our whole Western academic kind of structure, is out of that world. And in some ways, the modern discourse in New Testament studies, I hate to say it, but it really is almost the last holdout of the Dark Ages in some ways, in terms of trying to investigate these things with the kind of rigor that we would place on any other subject.
The Abrahamic gatekeeping, the Judeo prophecy, Jesus circle jerk, their echo chamber, their safe space where nobody, well, we all agree that Jesus definitely existed. What's the best way to worship the Jewish Messiah? Which denomination of this sect of Neo-Judaism should we be in? That's the control limited scope of the debate in the Abrahamic paradigm that we're in. And that's why these guys are running into problems.
Matter. Secular academics have not been governing this discourse. We're not defining it. We are not in control of kind of the primary description of what early Christianity was and how it got off the ground. We are at best marginal voices that are drawn into question often. It's almost suspicious. We're seen as we must be up to something. So how do people even get jobs in this field? You could just back off of the whole thing and think, okay, is it because they're skilled at deconstructing the Christian religion? Is that how you become successful in this field? And no, it's in service to largely the academic world that we call New Testament studies, is in service to Western sacred history. They're custodians of that. They're
custodians of Western sacred history. That's what biblical studies is. That wasn't that powerful.
Custodians of that in so many ways. It deconstructs the New Testament in so many ways. It's dangerous. We live in a society that doesn't...
Neil's really witnessed the cover-up as well, especially on the cover-up of the pagan parallels and the preceded Jesus and the dying and rising type of God stuff that they cover up, and questioning the Old Testament as well. He's ran into a lot of issues there.
Want all of this overturned? This is the living religion.
I mean,
so,
in some
I would love if one of them were to peer review my book.
In some ways, it's affecting, like, on a large scale, the war in Israel in a way. Because people who support, I'm not going to get political right now.
There you go.
I don't want you to either.
See, there you go, Neil. That's where you can get in trouble. Yeah, the support of Israel in the war. And all our politicians, curse them and you'll be cursed. Bless our Judeo-Christian values, our greatest allies, the Holy Land, the chosen people. All of that all depends on Jesus. And if the scholars all start acknowledging that he never existed, it is going to be a big issue. Catastrophic. It'll be a crisis.
Large scale, the war in Israel in a way. Because people who support, I'm not going to get political right now, and I don't want you to either. But like,
support of Israel.
There are people who are influencing or supporting certain things happening in the world that are very detrimental to people due to religious belief.
It's absolutely the case. Yeah, and people hold this is sacred history. It's not just history; it's sacred history in the minds of so many people. In some ways, we run parallel in certain regards. Even never accept my thesis.
Oh, these are all long clips. We're going to cut it short here. We've covered all these before in a past. This is funny. I do want to. Oh wait, no, that one's long too. Got all these long 5-minute clips. Anyway, we're probably going to wrap it there. I will be back tomorrow with another stream, picking up where we left off, a bunch of other stuff. I'm sure some more developments will happen. We were so close to the goal. Almost hit the goal. Almost was able to tell Mrs. No More News that we made the goal today. Can anybody come through? I want to hear some of your thoughts on this cover. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills that everybody isn't as freaked out about this Jesus cover-up, this Jesus lie as I am. Feels like.
Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
Of course, often are.
Got a lot of clips from him, Richard C. Miller, about all that. Okay, he did it. He did what? Oh, do I need to reset the goal? I'm complaining and it's already above it. Let's see. All right, I will be back. Oh wait, actually, I might not be back tomorrow. I have to do something in the morning. There we go.
Slevin Kelevra sent $50. You've got them running scared, Adam. Well done, sir.
Slevin Kelevra. They are running scared. That is true. I agree.
Hellhammer Fan 2000 sent $20 on Rumble. Heil Goiziak.
Thank you guys. You guys are awesome. Huge show tomorrow. Still got a bunch of stuff I didn't get to today. We'll get even more into this
Habs
too.
93 sent $5. I am late, lol.
Thank you, Habs. I want much attention. I need to blow this up. It's not getting enough attention, this scandal. They're trying to suppress it. So I'm going to do all I can to blow it up. All right. You guys are awesome. I love you all. Let's go out to a clip, a compilation. Who do we have here? Let's do The End Goal of Christianity from John Garatis. Shout out, John. Shout out everybody that donated. Appreciate you all. Love you all. Let me know what you think in the comments about all of this. Clip up the show. Share the links. Like, subscribe. Subscribe star link down below. A few t-shirts left at nomorenews.org. And I will see you guys again tomorrow. Love you all and take care. Where's my outro? Oh, wait, we're doing this outro.
Jesus was a Jew, and any. Somebody asked Lisa and I not too long ago, why do you love the Jewish people and why do you love Israel and the land? And we simply said, because God says in the Bible that he loves the Jewish people and the land.
We follow a Jew, we pray to a Jew.
Yeah, of course I love Israel because it's where the Bible took place and, you know, my Savior's Jewish, so I obviously love the Jewish people.
I as a Gentile, no, I'm not Jewish. Wish I was, but I'm not. I as a Gentile have been grafted into the promises of God. We have been so blessed by the Jewish people. Where did our Bible come from? From the Jews. Where did our Messiah come from? From the Jews.
And without a Jew and without a nation, without Israel,
then the Bible's prophecies will fail.
There's no word Israelite in the Hebrew Bible. You know what the word is for Israelite? It's Israeli. It's not a modern thing. It's Israeli. Yeah. If you're born again, you're a spiritual Israeli.
Paul said in Romans, he is a Jew, which is one inwardly, and circumcision is of the heart in the spirit. So most Christians who stand for Israel are called Zionists.
You don't mess with God.
You don't mess with. My friend of mine preaches, what you do to a Jew, God will do to you.
Jesus was a Jew, and any anti-Semitism in the name of Christianity is obviously a farce. Because anybody who puts their faith in Christ is obviously insisting God became a Jew. How can I be anti-Semitic and follow and worship a Jew?
Anti-Semitism is fueled by Satan himself. It's a spirit, and the spirit behind anti-Semitism is the spirit of Antichrist.
It's satanic to be anti-Semitic.
Anti-Semitism is a demonic doctrine. Jew haters cannot be God lovers. It's impossible because the nation of Israel is the chosen people of God. Come hell or high water, I'm going to fight to the death for the Jewish people. What we stand on is the side of God, and the side of God is, you bless my people, I will bless you. You curse my people, I will curse you.
I want to thank you personally for making me a conservative. I was a socialist and an atheist for 10 years, and because of you, the people of Daywire, I became a Christian and a conservative.
I'm going to be teaching today a very important message on why every Christian must love Israel.
We're here because we love Israel. Why do we love the Jewish people? Well, you know, I serve a Jew. His name is Jesus. He's the Messiah of Israel.
Can anybody see why they need Jesus to exist?
Survival as much as you, the Christian, is or are.
So what is it about Christianity that's critical to Western democracy?
The Bible.
The West will survive only if it decides to love itself and if it decides to love us, the Jewish people.
So a Christian that's not pro-Israel, I doubt they actually love their Bible. And I will stand by that statement. If you are a Christian that doesn't love Israel, then you take your Bible way, way, way too much for granted.
People ask me about what I feel about the Jews. My response is, unfortunately I was born a Gentile, but I'm trying to overcome that. Everybody I love the most in history is Jewish. You can start with Abraham and run the gamut all the way to the New Testament and Jesus and the apostles. And I think true Christians have a profound love for the Jewish people because they understand that God loves them in a unique way.
I, as a Jew, have not only no problem with people saying, for example, Christ is king. I think that that's a good thing for Christians to say. I want Christians to do that because I think that for American society, more people need to declare who are Christian that Christ is king and go back to church.
Yeah, I think it was Maimonides who said, the reality is that Christians have brought more people to the love of the Torah more so than the Jewish people.
Correct. Something Rabbi Sachs said, you mentioned him earlier, somebody really reverenced, and he said, the great role that Christianity's played vis-a-vis Judaism is it brought the God of Israel to the world. It brought the Torah to the world. And I think that's how someone like Paul would have read those texts in Isaiah about, all the tribes coming, and he saw in the resurrected Jesus the fulfillment of Israel. And so now it's time to bring all the nations to Jerusalem, so to speak. Now, not literally for him.